concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. We'll be back out around 7 o'clock.
To our March 19th Riverhead Board of Education meeting. Can I have a motion to come back into public session from executive?
Motion.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? If I could ask you all to please remain standing briefly for a moment of silence. Oh, yeah, actually, right before we do that, I'm just going to have Ms. Bostahowski, our district clerk, just make a brief announcement.
Hi, we have translation services available in the back for anybody who needs them. You can see Daniela and she will help you.
Buenas noches. Si usted quisiera escuchar la presentación en español, tenemos los aparatitos de traducción ahí atrás.
And if you could just please remain standing for a moment of silence. One of our staff members and coworkers, Paul Lagurcio, the evening custodian at Aquabog, passed away over this past week. Thank you. And if you could just remain standing for one more moment, I'm going to ask Ms. Murphy to say something.
On March 15, 2018, 6 years ago, we lost 7 brave airmen when their helicopter crashed in Iraq. We will forever remember our Jolly 5-1 fallen who have lived out the rescue motto, "These things we do so others may live." Those members were Major Christopher Tripp Zanettis, 101st Rescue Wing, Major Andreas O'Keefe, 101st Rescue Squadron, Captain Mark Weber, 38th Rescue Squadron, Master Sergeant Christopher J. Ragusa, 101st Rescue Squadron, Master Sergeant William Posh, 308th Rescue Squadron, Technical Sergeant Deshaun J. Briggs, 101st Rescue Squadron, a 2007 Riverhead graduate, Staff Sergeant Carl Ennis, 308th Rescue Squadron. I personally and proudly serve with the 4 of these heroes at the 106th Rescue Wing at West Hampton Beach. Chris, Deshaun, Tripp, and Andy were friends, brothers, and part of my rescue family. Today we remember these heroes, our hometown hero, their sacrifice for our country and their families. In the aftermath, we are because they were. R.J. Heller.
Thank you so much, Erica. I'll sit now. Before we go to our superintendent report, I just want to give the community a quick update on our superintendent search. So when we appointed Ms. Cheryl Pedicic as our interim superintendent and Dr. Marianne Cardesano as our interim assistant superintendent for business back in October, our expectations would be that they would stay with us for the balance of the school year and that we would be engaged in a process that would result in a new superintendent and business official being appointed for the start of the 2024 to 2025 school year on July 1st. What we have learned over these past 4.5 months is that there were significant operational and fiscal challenges facing the district that had not been addressed prior to Ms. Pedicic and Dr. Cardesano's coming on board. What we've also seen over these past 4.5 months is how the leadership of these two outstanding administrators has made a huge impact and difference in how our school district operates and the morale of our faculty and staff. There is, in the board's estimation, a palpable difference in both of these critical areas. We believe that Ms. Pedicic and Dr. Cardesano have pointed us in the right direction and are establishing the policies, practices, and culture that will ensure we continue to deliver an exceptional educational program for our students with a fiscally sound foundation to support these programming. In recognition of their value to our school district for the near and long term, we've asked both Ms. Pedicic and Dr. Cardesano to extend their tenure with us through the end of the 2024-2025 school year. We believe that this will give us the time needed to solidify the positive changes they've already put in place and those remaining initiatives they want to establish to secure the long-term health of our district academically and financially. So to accomplish this, we may need to apply for a waiver with the New York State Department of Education to permit Ms. Pedicic and Dr. Cardesano to continue in their interim roles for an additional year. If this is necessary, we have every confidence that the waiver will be approved. So contingent on this approval, we'll formally extend our contracts with Ms. Pedicic and Dr. Cardesano through June 30th, 2025. We'll also be continuing our work with Eastern Suffolk BOCES, which we've started a few months ago, in terms of our superintendent search. As in the past, the search will include a survey and survey for stakeholder groups to garner input and feedback from the community, the only change being when we would be looking to appoint a new superintendent. Thank you. Now, Cheryl, I'm going to pass it over to you for your superintendent report.
So I am going to waive that for this evening because we have a very special presentation for everyone. I'd like to introduce our principal from Riley Elementary School, Mr. David Enos.
Good evening to our Board of Education, our superintendent, our district office cabinet, and our community. Your Riley team is excited to be here to highlight our Readers Theater program under the extraordinary direction of Mr. Edward Thole and faculty advisors Mrs. Garr, Mrs. Menace, Mrs. Messina, and Mrs. Seal. We feel that this production and these children symbolize our school and its spirit and what we are all about. Our Readers Theater is not just a play, it's a community event that brings together past, present, and future Riley students with their parents and grandparents. Our parents helped with the choreography, they helped with the set, and staff from each of our units participated in the production. Our kids, our students, have the opportunity to learn about all aspects of a theatrical production, which our student Case will speak about in just a moment. Is that okay? Yeah, is that better? Is that better? I'll stand away like that. Is that better? Okay. I am grateful to our staff and to our Parents Association for all that they do, and this production is one of many examples of Riley's emphasis on our school as a family and as a learning community. I would like to introduce someone more articulate than myself, Case Hickson, who was our assistant student director, and he's going to say a few words about his experience with Readers Theater, and I guarantee you he'll be on Broadway before you know it. Where's Case? Case Hickson. He's right up there. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Case, and I'm here to tell you more about Riley Avenue's Readers Theater Club. Our club this year is putting on the show Little Mermaid Jr., and I am the assistant director. There are so many benefits for students who have the chance to be in the show. In a show. We work as a true team. We improve our singing and dancing, and we have fun. Some of us learn what it's like to be on stage crew. Finally, it's the ELA skills that we really work on. That's reading, writing, listening, and speaking. We listened and took directions from our teachers And of course, we worked on speaking in front of each other and to an audience. It was a fantastic experience for us. Here is Miss Grant.
Thank you. Good evening. I am proud to present the Little Mermaid cast and crew. For this evening, the students will be performing 3 songs. For our first performance, Juliet Schneider and Peyton Myron, our amazing Ariels, will sing Part of Your World. Our second number will be with Gemma DiVincenzo as Ursula, the sensational Sea Witch, and the cast of The Little Mermaid singing Poor Unfortunate Souls. Finally, Emmett Stevens as Sebastian, our amazing crab, and the cast of The Little Mermaid singing Under the Sea. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Make my father understand. I just don't see how a world that makes such wonderful things could be so bad. Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the girl who has everything? I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's its and what's its galore. You want thingamabobs? I've got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. I wanna be where the people are. I wanna see 'em dancing, walking around on those, what do you call them? Oh, feet. Flipping your fins, you don't get too far. Legs are required for jumping, dancing, strolling along down the, what's that word again? Street. Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun, wandering free. Wish I could be part of that world. What would I give if I could live out of these waters? What would I pay to spend a day warm on the sand? Bet young men, they understand. Bet that in the past I've been a nasty. They weren't kidding when they called me, well, a witch. But you'll find that nowadays I mended all my ways. Repentance seen the light and made a switch. True? Yes. And I fortunately know little magic. It's a talent that I always have possessed. And here lately, please don't laugh, I use it on behalf of the miserable, the lonely and depressed, pathetic, poor unfortunate souls in pain, in need. This one longed to be thinner, that one wants to get the girl, and do I help them? Yes, indeed. Those poor unfortunate souls, so sad, so true. They come flock to my cauldron, crying spells are good, please, and I help them? Yes, I do. Now it's happened once or twice. Someone couldn't pay the price, and I'm afraid I had to rake and cross the coals. Yes, I've had the odd complaints, but on the whole I've been a saint to those poor unfortunate souls. I have a spell that will turn you into human for 3 days. When the sun sets on the 3rd day, you got to get dear old Princey to kiss you. If you do, you'll stay human forever. You will turn back into a mermaid and your soul will be mine forever! Life's full of tough choices, isn't it? Of course. There is one more thing. My fee.
But I don't have
I'm
any.
not asking for much. Only your voice.
But if I give away my voice, how can I ever...
You have your looks, your pretty face, and don't underestimate the importance of body language. Come on, you poor unfortunate soul. Go ahead, make your choice. I'm a very busy woman and I haven't got all day. It don't cost much. Just your voice. You poor unfortunate soul. It's sad, but true. If you want to cross a bridge, my sweet, you got to pay the toll. Take a gulp and take a breath and go ahead, achieve your goal. Lots of jets and now I've got a girls. The boss is on a roll. You poor unfortunate soul.
Life under the sea is better than anything they got up there. The seaweed is always greener in somebody else's lake. You dream about going up there, but that is a big mistake. Just look at the world around you, right here on the ocean floor. Such wonderful things around you. What more is you looking for? Under the sea, under the sea. Darling, it's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me. Up on the shore they work all day. Out in the sun they slave away. While we devoted for them devoted under the sea. Down here all the fishes happy, as off through the waves they roll. But fish on the lane ain't happy, they sigh cause you're in their bowl. But fish on the boat is lucky, they eat for a worse than fate. One day when the boss get hungry, guess who's gone beyond that plate? Oh, under the sea, under the sea. Nobody beat us, fry us and eat us in fricassee. We want the land full stuff to cook. Under the sea we got the hook. We got no troubles, life in our bubbles under the sea. The newt play the flute, the conch play the harp, the bass play the bass, and they sound and sharp. The brass play the bass, the tuff play the drum. The duke is a duke of soul. The ray he can play the ling song strings, the chop rock it out. The blackfish he sings the smell, and the chop you know it at. And all the blowfish blow. Look, a ship. Under the sea, when the sardine begins to begin its music to me. War today got a lot of sand, we got a hunger station band. Each of those that know how to win, that's why it's hard to under the water. Yeah, we in luck here, under the luck here, under the sea. Yeah.
Quickly take a bow with you. Come on back up, just quickly take a bow. Okay, on the count of 3, you're going to do your famous Little Mermaid and take your bow. 1, 2, 3. Little Mermaid! Good job.
Riley Avenue, that was truly amazing. What a great job. We are so proud of all of you. That was certainly the highlight of this evening. Thank you. So at this time, we know that our young students get up really early. So if the parents would like to stay and the students, you're certainly welcome. But we will not be insulted if at this time you decide to leave. So we'll give you some opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to give them
Good job.
Say bye to Mr. Thal.
It's always the worst part of the production is when it's all done. Like it's not, it's not going anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. When I did a show when I was in college, it was in connection with Tommy.
Oh.
And the one kid that we had is the kid. She does Who was up there? He was up there?
That was me. Oh. It was unbelievable. It was great.
Actually, it's going to just go this way.
Good job.
Yeah. Like right here is fine.
See you again.
It is. But I want to give people an opportunity before I...
Yeah. Thanks again, everybody. It was a really, really fantastic
Yes,
performance.
Thank you. For those people who are standing, there are certainly seats, so please feel free to find a seat. that's okay. Good evening, everyone. And before I turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Marianne Cardisano, I just would like to read a statement with your indulgence. Good evening and welcome to the March 19th Board of Education meeting. As all of you know, we have embarked on what will be a thorough and comprehensive budget process. Recommendations and decisions that will be made have not been done lightly or without a tremendous degree of introspection, care, and attention to detail. This is a painstaking process as we are discussing individuals, services, and programs, and it is incumbent that we proceed with professionalism, sensitivity, and care. The Board of Education and Administration take the responsibility in preparing a budget extremely seriously and devote superlative time and effort to best balance our educational programs and services within an established budgetary framework. Unfortunately, in achieving this goal, we need to make reductions that involve our staff and programs and acknowledge that every reduction cannot be marginalized, as even one student being affected matters. As a district, we highly value our students and our staff and their contributions to the education of our students. Their influence on student learning and achievement is palpable at every level, and each member of our staff, regardless of position, has an integral role in guiding and supporting the success and achievement of our students. We understand and expect there will be advocacy from various constituencies in regard to the proposed reductions. This is a natural process, and we respect and welcome the voices and feedback received. We will, however, not tolerate or engage in conjecture, a promulgation of mistruths that seek to disparage and malign the district and the efforts of those interested in supporting our district, and we will not respond to social media opprobrium. We do invite questions and will endeavor to provide answers that are factual, clear, and devoid of supposition. We want our community to have information and a sound understanding of the information presented. This district has much to be proud of, including an amazing student body, as you just saw this evening, a highly skilled and dedicated staff, families who are invested in their children and school, and community members who share in that pride. We ask that you work together with us as we journey through this budget process. We are committed to making a difference that truly matters for a community that deserves the best for their children. So I now turn it over. I thank you for your support and cooperation and turn it over to Dr. Marianne Cardisano.
Thank you. And that's a pretty difficult act to follow from our youngest students. But I'm here tonight to discuss the instructional plan that is being recommended to the Board of Education. And just to bring you up to speed, if you were not here in the last time we met, is that the board had developed a budget development calendar, and today, March 19th, is the day that we're reviewing the expenditure plan for the instructional programs. What we shared with the community the last time we met is a revenue plan, and I explained at that time how we were reverse engineering this budget, which means that we needed to determine how much money we had to spend and what our cash was available in order to support our programs. We also followed the board's direction in that a budget that was going to be presented was going to be balanced and fiscally sound, as well as within the property tax cap. So this revenue plan has been posted online. It represents a 4.9% budget increase and a 3.34% property tax cap increase. And we know that we cannot run programs that do not have funding. So if we have to operate our budget within our revenue plan. Once we determined what our revenues were, we began developing our expense plan. So right now, our budget cannot exceed the $201 million. That's a proposed budget increase of $9.4 million, and that increase represents a 4.93% increase. So, as I said before, that is within the property tax cap of 3.34%. What's very important to note is that the budget number must be $201 million. So if something goes in the budget, something else has to come out. If we add something back, it has to be in place of something else that we're going to remove, okay? I discussed with the community that this budget of $201 million is broken down into 5 different categories: general support, instruction, transportation, community service, and undistributed. Tonight's focus will be on section 2, which is instruction. Doesn't want to work, okay? When we met last time, we talked about the staffing analysis. Those are the number of humans that report to work every day. And we did a comparison over the past several years. And we compared what our staff looked like in 2018 as compared to what our staff looks like right now in 2024. And what the data shows us is that we have 119 more professional instructional staff on board. We also have, with reference to our support staff, who play an integral role in our operations of our school district. And those are our nurses, our support staff, our IT, our aides, our monitors, transportation, security, and facilities. And with reference to those employees, we have 60 more staff members than we did in 2018. When you add those two numbers together, and we look at the increase in positions, and those are the FTEs between 2018 and currently on staff now, there are 180 additional employees here, from 874 to 1,054. Now, many of those positions were funded with grant money, and we reviewed that. We also reviewed that we also have 41 agency aides, and we have 55 teacher assistant aides. So when you look at the increase, it is still well above 180 people. Well, how did we pay for 180 additional folks? We paid for them with federal funding. This is the grant money that people across Long Island and the state are referring to. And what they're referring to is the fiscal cliff that we are all falling off of. This district received nearly $20 million in grant money since COVID. That grant money is no longer available as of June 30th. So there is no money to continue any programs or personnel that were staffed under the federal and state grants of $20 million. So when you look at our fiscal cliff, there is a $20 million shortfall in what we have to operate this year compared to the programs that we need to operate as of July 1st. So now we'll start with some new information. We know what the revenues are, so where do we start? When you start to build an instructional plan, you start with students, and you start with the number of students that attend our schools. So we went back and we looked at data, because I've been told we have both declining enrollment and exploding enrollment, depending on who you talk to on which day. So I went back and looked at the data and found out you have neither. You have slight fluctuations that naturally occur from year to year. So any preconception that our students' body has grown or deflated is not accurate. This is actually the beds data that we report to the state every October. And you will see there are natural fluctuations. We started with 5,583 students district-wide in 2018. That moved to 5,800. back down to 5,400. And then we level off at 5,407 in 21, in 22, 5,486, 5,463, and now we're projecting 5,522. So you can see in the last several years, our enrollment has been pretty steady with some slight fluctuations, which you would expect in a student body that has 4 elementary schools, an intermediate school, a middle school, and a high school. So what we did is we did a 5-year average to determine how many students would be showing up in September. That number for us is 5,552. Knowing that we cannot afford what we have this year, next year. We took it on the mission of looking at every item and every program individually. What Mrs. Pedicic said earlier, that it was painstaking, I will tell you that we did not take the easy route. And what do I mean by that? The easy route would have been reduce the high school to a 9-period day, raise elementary class size, diminish and reduce your athletic program, cut clubs. I could have done that in a weekend and we would have been done. But that would have destroyed your district, and in my opinion, it would have taken you a decade to recover. And in that decade, the children who attended Pulaski may not be in this high school for a 9-period day. The children who are attending school in kindergarten this year would start in classes with higher class size. So we embarked on a journey to do this in a systematic way and minimize the impact as best we could. But as we have already said, every cut and every reduction is going to affect someone, okay? So where did we start? We started in elementary, in K-6. There are 10 employees, outstanding teachers, who were moved out of the classroom to become specialists. Those elementary specialists will return to the classroom as the grant had intended. It should never have been the plan that those positions were going to continue. Unfortunately, when those 10 specialists return to their classroom, there are 10 elementary teachers who will be accessed. Those 10 teachers, that salary is approximately $575,000. Added to that at the elementary level will be 1 school counselor, 1 psychologist, and 1 math teacher who was hired for 1 year only. Those 13 FTEs are $781,000. When you add the $781,000 to their benefits of $629,000, this reduction equates to $1.4 million of reductions. Okay. Our second recommendation to the board regarding elementary is the elimination of teacher assistants in the kindergarten classrooms. Several years ago, you added a TA to every kindergarten classroom. So before we made this move or this recommendation, we went and looked at your class sizes. And these are actual class sizes as of yesterday. At Aquabog, your class size in kindergarten is 19.5. At Phillips, your average class size is 21.4. At Riley, your average class size is 18.8. And at Roanoke, your average class size is 19. As I said, you are going to have, and as Mrs. Pedicic has already said, you have a highly qualified elementary staff. Them returning to the classroom without the support of a teacher assistant is what the recommendation is. Those 18 FTEs that will be eliminated, 7 of those are vacant positions. Now there is a difference when we are eliminating 18 full-time equivalents, FTEs. We are looking at it through 2 different lenses. One is, are there vacant position? Therefore the position is eliminated, but the human is not. And then the second part of it is, if it's not a vacant position, then there is a faculty member that is affected. So we're recommending the reduction of 18 teacher assistants, of which 11 will be excess staff. Now, it's important again, because this one move and this one change will save the district over $1.3 million. And when you're looking at 20 million, you need to look at it in these terms. It's also extremely important that these teacher assistants are not highly paid. Their reduction in salary is $540,000. The real savings comes in the area of their benefits. So these reductions in salary is $540,000. The reduction in benefits is $800,000. And that goes back to the conversation I had with the community in February. What is breaking budgets in school districts is not salaries. In my opinion, it is the cost of health insurance and the cost of retirement systems. This is an exact example of what I said. So their pensions and their salary costs exceed their hourly rate and their annual rate. The reduction of these 18 FTEs is $1.3 million. I'm not sure why I can't handle this. Okay. So when we look at these two reductions in total, there are 24 humans that are involved in this. And the savings on the district is $2.7 million. In two areas of reductions that we think we are recommending that still maintain the integrity of the elementary program. Now, on top of this, what we are doing and we're recommending is rehiring any of these excess personnel in other positions. So, it is very important that we are working towards doing that. And they will return to us in September if they choose, but in a different capacity. So staff has been offered positions that are currently vacant, which may allow them to maintain their health insurance, maintain membership in a retirement system, and other union contract employee benefits without interruption. So even though we're going through this, we are trying very hard to maintain our staff that we already know is highly qualified, and we want them back in September. Now, there's some unintended consequences. And the unintended consequence of the reduction of the elementary staff is the impact that it will have on the K-4 dual language program. We are bound by legal and contractual obligations regarding accessing staff. Accessing is based on seniority. The least senior staff in an area must be accessed in a specific order. We do not have a choice about that. The union does not have a choice about that. Many teachers who are currently staffed in the dual language program are among those who will be accessed. Accessing staff is based on seniority does not allow the program to be offered in the 24-25 year as it currently exists. The staffing plan for 24-25 does not have the faculty who maintain the specific certification that is needed. So what I wanted to explain to you is that these teachers were hired as elementary teachers and are thereby on the seniority list with elementary teachers. Many did not have their bilingual extension certification completed at this time. And even if they had, there is no current seniority list by law that allows bilingual certification teachers not to be where they're appropriately placed now. So what does that mean? If parents want their child to continue in a dual language program, there will be one available, and we will maintain the program, and it will look different. It will be consolidated into one location at Phillips Avenue Elementary School. It will be offered to all elementary children to participate. It will be based on a lottery. Transportation services will be provided to all students regardless of where their home district is, elementary school is. We're going to take the opportunity to restructure this program so we can support additional L students. So information on this particular program as we restructure it, will be available at a later date. We need to align our staff that is on board with the needs of the program and move forward with those teacher assignments. We cannot do that by today, okay? We need some additional time for that. Moving on to the middle school. The middle school is going to return to an 8-period day. Now, the length of the day will remain the same, but each period will be extended, okay, by several minutes. So we will maintain instructional time and instructional hours, but it will look different. By returning to an 8-period day, there are vacant or retiree positions that we will not fill. We will not fill a .4 in family and consumer science. We will not fill one social worker, one English teacher, and one science teacher. That equates to 3.4 positions. I'm really not sure, Robert, why this is giving me such a hard time. Okay. In returning to the 8-period day, the teachers and positions that are accessed are a .4 in world language, 1 in ELA, a .2 in art, a .4 in science, and a 1.2 in math. So I want to take the opportunity when we talk about this because based on the teaching contract, they teach 5 periods a day. So when you eliminate one class, it's a .2. So in the area of art, there is a full-time teacher that will go from a 1.0 to a .8. And that methodology continues throughout this entire process, and that is how accessing happens. So there is a science position that will go from a 1.0. It will be reduced by a .4 to a .6. So what does that look like? At the middle school, there will be a reduction of 6.6 FTEs. 3.4 are vacant position, so there's no humans affected. 3.2 are excess staff. The salary for that is $550,000. The benefits, $310,000. This reduction is a savings of $860,000. Now, the same option is being offered to these excess staff members. We are looking at their certifications, and what we have found is some of our staff have dual certifications or are in the process of completing another certification. So if that staff member does have the qualifications for an open position, we will invite them and have invited them to return and to apply for those positions. Okay? At the high school, we are going to look at classes that are under 15 will not run, except if it's a graduation requirement. We will look at the vacant positions of family and consumer sciences of .6, 1 math, 1 PE, and 1 science, for a total of 3.6. We are looking at the excess positions for staff and for administrators. In world language, a .6, English 1, music 1.5, art 1.5, social studies 2, and an assistant principal. That equates at the high school to 7.6 FTEs that are humans. What does that look like in terms of money? It's a total of 11.2 reductions. Vacant positions are 3.6. Excess is 7.6. With salary and benefits, that is a total of near $1.6 million. Again, that staff, if there's an open position, will be invited to apply. We also have retiree positions. These are district-wide. We have 7 elementary retirees that we will not replace those positions. We have 1 science teacher that will not be replaced. We will save 8 FTEs there for over $1 million. There are 2 positions that are retirees that we will replace at reduced costs. There are 2 reading positions, and there's 1 special ed position. And that's what I'm referring to when I say we will invite those who are being accessed if they have the qualifications to apply for these positions. Now, when you look at the retirees, that's a savings on salary of $1.2 million. Here's the reverse. The savings on benefits is $224,000. Well, why isn't that benefit cost higher? It's not higher because the retirees, by contract, we are required to provide health insurance for them. So therefore, the health insurance line will support our retirees. So we do not have a savings there. So, excuse me, on retirees, there is a savings of nearly $1.5 million. So, here is the summary slide. And I know people are taking pictures. Just to let you know, this presentation is already posted online, and it's on the webpage that you can be either following along or it'll be, you can have access to it at your leisure. So, when we look at the summary in one snapshot, and you look at the number of faculty, when you look at the total FTEs, it is 37.8. 15 of those positions are vacant. So that's when I said, rather than just go in and demolish a program or reduce something that we didn't have to, we're looking to reduce our budget through attrition. There are 22.8 positions that will be eliminated and accessed. There is one administrative position that is not vacant that will be accessed. And the 18 teacher assistants I already spoke about, 7 of those are vacant and 11 are being accessed. I will tell you that some of those TAs have already been in conversation with us to be rehired as aides. So that will maintain a membership in our retirement system, and it will also maintain their health insurance. And I already spoke to about faculty members. So in total, these changes affecting 34 people is a savings of nearly $6.7 million. So we go back to the slide that I showed you last time, which is the instructional program. And our instructional program, even with nearly $6.7 million of reductions, still bears on this budget an increase of $4.8 million. So I think that you can see that when the numbers add up, there is no way that this budget could have afforded over $10 million increase in this one area. And at the $4.8 million, it does increase the budget by, it is a budget increase of 4.28%. I just want to spend a moment on the positions that are available. I already spoke about various teaching content areas, also teacher aide positions, monitors, permanent teaching substitutes. We're going to be coming to the board with an extensive plan on permanent subs. Also, all content areas, teaching substitutes, and all support areas. We have found that there are some employees that do not require the health insurance that are saying, what's the hourly rate as a substitute? Can I come back as that? So these are going to be very, very individual decisions for employees and their families to navigate. I do want to spend a second on the governor's budget and state aid. State aid is a major revenue source for our school district. By law, the governor's budget is due on or before April 1st. That is not anticipated. She's not going to make that deadline. School districts most likely will have to adopt our budget without confirmed state aid information. We do expect the state aid projections in late April or early May. Certainly, we do expect that by budget time, we will have those updated projections. So once state aid is confirmed, the administrative staff will reconvene discussions regarding the proposed staffing plan and may offer the board recommendations accordingly. So where we started. We started with nearly 180 additional staffing positions within the six years. We started with a $20 million fiscal cliff from funding from prior years that was not going to be available. Our goal was to reduce expenses with a systematic approach that protected health and safety protocols, the integrity of the academic programs, non-instructional programs that are offered, athletics, and the arts. And as I said, this was not an easy road, and we did not want to put forth to the board something that would destroy your community and take you years and years to rebuild. We're offering a sound instructional plan that is supported with finances. We cannot write checks when we do not have the money to support it, okay? At this point, let me tell you what we preserved. At the elementary level, pre-K will remain an in-house program that is staffed by our faculty. Elementary class size will remain the same as I showed you earlier. Clubs at the elementary level will remain the same. Reading support services will remain the same. Math support services will remain the same. Art, music, physical education, library, what you call at home your specials, will stay intact. We also will maintain our commitment to information technology, which means devices and software. Equally as important, at the secondary level, the high school will remain on a 9-period day. We will sustain elective choices. The North Star Academy will remain. The NJROTC program remains. Our summer school, which is vital for credit recovery to maintain a path towards graduation, will remain. All of our athletic teams, varsity, junior varsity, and middle school remain intact. Our performing groups remain. Our clubs. Our commitment to occupational education will not be diminished. And the evening academy will also remain. Some important dates is there are board packets that are available to run for office in the May election. The budget hearing will take place on May 14th at Riverhead High School at 7 o'clock. And as most of you may know, the budget vote day, which is a universal vote day in New York State, is May 21st from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the 4 elementary schools district-wide. If you haven't had a chance, there is a number of documents that are posted on the district website. We created a 2024-25 webpage that contains multiple documents. Just so that you know, I do update those documents and have done so within the past week. As I said, tonight's presentation is already posted. The revenue budget has been updated, and what I do is on the link I will say edited or updated or posted with the date, so that you don't have to search through every document to see if there's updated information. Also, we added information about the staffing analysis, about, we added some CPI data, which is extremely important when we're doing some forecasting for our expenses, as well as there's a link there that in April, when the New York State report cards become available, we will post those there. So the website is being maintained aggressively throughout the budget process for community awareness. So at this point, I know that was a lot of information. I tried to walk you through the process and how we got to where we are. And we are looking at, out of $20 million, I don't want to say the word only or just, because that's disingenuous. But from $20 million, we're reducing this potential budget and this cliff by 6.7, and everything else in that is going to move forward. There's not enough paper clips, there's not enough copy paper to move this number. And unfortunately, this is what we're left with. So at this point, if I can, I know that we have public input in a few minutes for community input questions. I know that's on the agenda, but is there any questions that I can answer for the board at this time?
So just to clarify, our COVID money, the art money, the ESSER, that 2021 known, that was something that we saw over a three-year period, and that so with each year, that's where we have to address some of, the staffing issues that we have.
Correct.
There's not just 20 million one year, this is a
The
cumulative.
COVID money flowed, it was an ebb and flow.
Right.
You know, we did not receive a $20 million check on day one because nobody thought COVID was going to, still be a conversation after 4 years. So we received, it's ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3, Gear 1, ARP Special Ed, ARP Homeless, and it came in different forms. And each time that those forms came, you directed the money towards students and towards those needs. And basically either we bought a system, we bought, iPads, et cetera, and we hired staff. So, and now we need to roll that back. So that money, it has been over a 4-year period. And then sometimes when ESSER 1 was here and then it ran out, ESSER 2 came so you could maintain it. And now you have to roll back off of that.
Right, because this is the last year, I think, this is the last year.
All of them. This is, right, it's June 30th.
Right, and I know over the past 3 years, we were made whole with our foundation aid, so that filled in some of the pieces for our staffing, because I see that enrollment has stayed steady, but yet we're still up 127 or so staff members than we were. That's what we're going to be left with still, if you think about it, right?
Well,
After
out of the 80, we're only reducing a third.
180, 100.
Out of 180,
Right.
we're reducing a third of that and maintaining those other positions.
Okay. And then you brought up clubs, because I know a lot of the, prior to COVID, afternoon clubs at the elementary were pretty much non-existent unless it was like a SIG grant, state improvement. But now you're going to keep that. Is that what I'm hearing? Is for the-
Elementary clubs have not been diminished at all.
Okay, so that's something else I have here.
Are there any other questions from fellow board members? Seeing none. We're going to go to public comment and question for Dr. Carzano's presentation. Just before we do that, I'd just like to remind everyone of our policy for public comment. Because expect we're going to have a lot of people asking questions or giving comments. We're going to hold to the policy of a hard 3-minute timeline for everybody, just to make sure that everyone who wants to speak is able to speak, and then time allowing, anyone who'd like to speak again can. But we still, obviously have a lot afterwards. And then anyone who would like to give a comment, you can come to the podium in the middle. Just give your name and your address. And remember to just direct any questions or comments directly to the board and the administration up on the dais. Comments?
Hi, how are you? Amanda Gauss, Aquabog. I just had a quick question. So I heard you say that we're going to maintain clubs. I do have a child who attends Pulaski. All clubs were cut at Pulaski. So I'm not, are they going to be starting up again, or, because this was wonderful to watch the Riley kids tonight, but tomorrow, many parents are missing out because they cut our talent show tomorrow night. So unless the parents can go to the school in the middle of the day, we don't get to watch our kids perform.
Okay, so I'm going to take this in 2 parts. First of all, I was not aware that there was a talent show that was reduced tomorrow night, so we will certainly follow up on that. There was a club budget for Pulaski, and it was for the entire year. And unfortunately, all of those funds were expended in the fall and winter clubs, which left no funding for spring clubs. That budget
Okay.
was very well known. I'm not going to make any other comment on that. And what I can tell you is that we recently looked at the clubs at Pulaski and Roanoke, which are both part of the SIG grant, and we are now going to fund the spring clubs from general fund so that students do not miss out on their spring club opportunities.
Okay.
Mr. Payton and Mr. Burke are both aware of that, and I do believe I've already had a conversation over the weekend with Mr. Payton, and he is up and ready to go with Roanoke students, and I would expect that Pulaski should be trailing behind, but we will expedite that, and we will certainly look into why there's not a talent show.
Yeah, the performance was supposed to be tomorrow evening, and we got a notice home last week that said that they were sending back money for what we paid for the tickets, and that They're cutting the performance tomorrow night, and they encourage all parents to come at 1 p.m. to the show.
Well, maybe you can do me a favor, since social media seems to be the way people can communicate. Would you let parents know that that's been postponed and that they can probably
they know.
expect? No, it has not been canceled, because I was not aware of that, and I'm looking at my colleagues, and so we're going to turn around and say, we will probably be issuing something that says it's postponed and here's the new date.
That's great, because
that
a lot
was
of parents
never
didn't come, and it was hard.
that was never the intention, and the situation with the Pulaski clubs was not, the students and parents were not going to bear the brunt of that.
Okay,
And if that doesn't happen by the end of the week, will you call me?
I will.
Please do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that talent show will go on.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Schultz. Any other comments?
Diana Tanis, Wading River. To speak frankly, why does it sound like the district is living paycheck to paycheck? Why are you spending all your money up front and not planning later? I have a child in dual language. Why did you introduce dual language when you knew the COVID funding was not going to be here next year? You've changed the lives of all these kindergartners in all 4 elementaries. They've changed the way they learn, and now they have to adapt to a new way to learn. You're robbing them, and you're robbing them the opportunity to make the right friends when they hit Pulaski, which scares all of us to death. Pulaski and the rest of the district as they age. It's frightening, and I want our children to be in the right classes with parents that think the same, to better them, to make them more educated, their cognitive learning, to expand their respect for different cultures. You're robbing them. And why would we why did we take that woman from Patchogue, Medford, have her introduce this program in Riverhead for 1 year? Because you knew the funding was not going to be here next year.
I don't have a good answer for you, because I was not here.
Good enough.
Right, I was not here last year. I've been here since October 24th. And what I will tell you is, anytime that you introduce a new program, there needs to be a financial plan that is going to support that. Anytime you add a new club, when we add a new sport, when you add a new elective, matching the instructional plan must be a finance plan so that it can be sustainable and that it is predictable. So I don't have an answer for you, because I don't think there is a good one.
And what you've decided today is final, so it doesn't really matter what people petition or come back with, like what?
I don't want to say that it doesn't matter, because it does matter. Your voices do matter, and I think that what we said earlier is that we need to hear those voices. The situation is, as I outlined, that we will not have the staff who is certified to maintain the program in 4 buildings. That is why we're looking to maintain the program and open it up to students or families who still want to participate and provide the transportation. I do not see a way that it will be available in 4 buildings.
And how did you choose Phillips? Phillips, that is 90% minority. That doesn't give the rest of the district any opportunity.
I believe that as of right now, that's where the program had existed, and that's where the staff is based. I don't know that that's a final decision, but I do know that Phillips is where the program originated, and the most experienced staff is there. So that's where, as of right now, it's designated to be located.
And it would still be 2 classes in Phillips?
At least, I believe.
At least. So what if you did 1 class in every elementary school? Like Ms. Salazar is completely capable of teaching English in the morning and Spanish in the afternoon. Why do you have to reduce it completely, gone out of the school, as opposed to just reducing it to 1 class?
because with the dual language program, as you know, your child is at Wiley Elementary School. So in the morning, let's say your child is with the English-speaking teacher, and in the afternoon, they're with the Spanish-speaking teacher. That's the way the program is set up at Phillips as well. There is an English class in the morning and a Spanish class in the afternoon, and then the students switch. So we would only have the one Spanish teacher and the one English teacher, right, for each grade level. And as Dr. Cardesano pointed out, the Phillips School has had the program for the longest period of time. So that has been an established program in the district, and that's why we selected Phillips. We certainly could go back and look at that. And you have every right to feel the way you do. And I want to say that to you, because as a parent, I would feel similarly. And so we're not in any way marginalizing how you feel. And your child, it matters. But we are in a situation right now, as Dr. Cardesano pointed out, is that we cannot bring back that staff without bringing back other staff ahead of them. And we don't have the ability to do that. We cannot jump over individuals, and I don't know if our legal counsel wants to comment on that, on tenure laws, so that you could hear it from our legal staff, what those issues are, because I think they're very important in this process.
Thank you.
So in terms of the tenure and seniority rules, you excess based on the categories of employees in their tenure areas. And the tenure area, I believe, is the same for the elementary education area where those teachers who are employed in the dual language program are. So they get excess based on order of seniority within that tenure area, regardless of any other certifications they may have that would make them eligible for that program. It is just the way that the law and the accessing law works to have a measure of fairness with whom gets access first.
Thank you very much, Mr. Levine. Do we have any other comments? Yes.
Hi. My name is Eva Roberts. I live in Riverhead. And I suppose it's fair to say I also drive. I drive a CDL. I'm a CDLC driver, so I drive a small number of students at any one time. But one thing I wanted to say is I believe there's a shortage of drivers and maybe monitors. So maybe there's a way, maybe some people would like to do student management and work with 66 children at a time, driving them to and from school. There's a lot of details there. I don't know, maybe you could be a sub and then supplement your unemployment. You know, it's a little, training's provided. I don't know how that would affect the unemployment. I used to be a career counselor. Anyhow, so before I run out of time, just something to think about. It would be a way to keep health benefits. The money may not be, ideal, but, or comparable. But anyhow, just a thought. And I don't know who, you could always stop by 377 Edwards Avenue. I think that's the address, and get a packet and get more information. The other thing I wanted to ask, though, is there was a talk about the cliff. And I was also, I heard this mentioned before, but I just want to know the impact. I think the previous superintendent and the person that the previous superintendent brought in to do the job, I think, sort of, that is your name Cardesano, Ms. Cardesano is doing. And my understanding, I don't follow all the details, but I think they, this thing where they continued to get paid even though they quietly left in the, sort of to me, it seems like in the middle of the night. And what about that money? So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts.
Unfortunately, the district is not going to be able to comment on prior personnel matters that were mentioned.
Any other comments?
Hi, yes, Teresa Mason. I'm from Flanders, and I have a student in a middle school who is special ed, and then I have a gen ed student in Phillips. And I just want to understand why you are cutting some of the one-to-one special education aides. I've been informed from one of my son's former aides, who is well qualified, that she is being cut.
There's no reduction in teacher aides.
That's what I have been told directly from his former aide, that she is being cut.
There's no reduction in teacher aides.
She's extremely well qualified, and she told me directly that she is being cut. And also there's, and the second one of his former aides, another one of his former aides, who is with him for 4 years, is a teaching assistant who appears to possibly be on the cut list, and she is also extremely well qualified. She used to be a special aide, special one-to-one aide, and now she's a teaching assistant, and you're also cutting her. And these are two women who are extremely well qualified, and you're cutting these students, cutting these services for students who need them. You're cutting teaching assistants and for kindergartners, kids that have never been in a school setting before, and then you're only cutting one administrative staff. The cuts should come from the top. The cuts should come from the top. You shouldn't be cutting for the most vulnerable students, the elementary school students. You cut the services for the elementary school students and the teaching aides there, and you're going to take years for those students to catch up. These are kids that are vulnerable. They are already falling behind, or they don't have the resources at home, and you're cutting their services when there should be other cuts that should be looked at. There are salaries that are out of control in the administrative staff, and it needs to be looked at. Those salaries need to be looked at.
I just want to comment, we are in no way cutting any special education services to students. Absolutely not. And if you, I'd be happy to speak to you about this afterward, so that you can give me the name of the individuals that, you know, have spoken to you.
I would prefer to speak to her first, because I wouldn't like to, I don't want to.
That is fine, but I can tell you, while individuals may be being reduced, the actual position, if your child has a one-to-one TA or a one-to-one special education aide, that person may change, but the service will remain.
I get that the aides may change, because my son went through 4 aides this year before they found one that would stay for the full year, because there are shortages in teaching aides and one-to-one aides in special education here. But I know for a fact that this woman is being cut. She told me to my face this morning. And she's a well qualified. She was one of the main reasons that we were able to get through Pulaski Street last year.
So what I would just suggest, speak to her, and then please feel free to call me. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mason. Any other comments?
Make it lower. Hi, I'm Stephanie Fadoon from Bating Hollow. My kindergarten daughter, who goes to Riley, is in the dual language program. I keep hearing it being compared to like clubs and sports. It's not the same. It's a program. These children have just entered school. They have a way of learning now that you are taking away from them. You're taking away the opportunity for them to be able to communicate in 2 languages, as well as non-native speakers to be able to communicate with them. You're taking away a huge way for them to learn. I don't really understand why it's only in one district. I don't know how you plan on doing the lottery, how you plan on busing all of these students to Phillips. And I also don't know why you would introduce a program with money that you're not going to continuously have to young students in every single elementary school. It doesn't make sense. And it seems that there should be cuts from other areas. If you hired new administration who are not working directly with our students, who are not teaching them language, why would they not be cut? Because you're indirectly saying you're caring more about that than our students. And that's what it's about, is students and how they learn and how they communicate with each other. So I don't really understand how you could cut that program and how you plan on making it work.
No question.
As we've said, we feel very, very badly about the dual language program and the way it was rolled out. And you have every right
I mean,
to
I know
feel
there's
as
a
you
ton
do.
of people that are
Right.
in this district because of the dual language program.
Mhm.
And that a lot of people are talking about leaving the district because you're taking away now this group of friends that are gonna be with each other throughout middle school and high school. They're losing that. You don't really have a plan, and then what if you run out of money again for Phillips? Like, are we gonna switch it up again for them? You're spending money before you even have it. And now it's impacting kindergartners who have completely learned how to, I mean, and the way that they're teaching language is amazing. And it's such a great program, and you're taking it away and comparing it to like a club.
I don't think we're comparing it to a club. So if that came across, that is absolutely not the case. What we talked about is preserving clubs for students district-wide. And clubs are very important for student growth. It is part of their academic. It's beyond the academic. It's the co-curricular piece. It's the whole child experience.
I think just focusing on the dual language portion, I don't understand how you plan on making this work or why you would introduce it and then take it away a year later.
And that's a very legitimate question. But I don't, as Dr. Cortesano says, we don't have an answer for you.
And you have no new administrative hires
No new administrative hires, no.
that are untenured? You have none?
Untenured? I'm not sure where, I'm not sure.
I mean, you're basing it on seniority, so if you are untenured, it's.
We
why would
have
you
made
keep it
one reduction of an administrative staff member.
Out of how many that were new hires?
Out of how many that were new hires?
Yeah.
I believe that there was one new hired administrative last year. Last year there was one.
I just think it would be beneficial for our students, which is what this is about, to find a way to make the program work in every elementary school.
And if we had the money to do that, we most definitely would.
I would.
We do see the value of the program. We are not devaluing that at all.
You are, because you're removing it.
Well, we're removing it because we have a financial situation that won't allow us to sustain it.
Then you shouldn't have introduced it.
Correct. You're right.
And you are right about that. So we are not disagreeing with you.
Okay, then I would find a way to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fadoon. Any other comments?
Hi, my name's Kristen Lennon. I am a parent and I am one of the accessed employees. I'm a TA now in Pulaski Street until the end of the school year. My one thing is you said that you have to come up with a plan for subbing, and you need to come up with a strong plan for subbing because your kindergarten TAs get pulled 5 days a week. So I don't know who's going to sub in your building. Because at Pulaski, I'm in self-contained, and that's all we have at Pulaski, and I get pulled.
You get pulled, can you just explain it to me? You get
I
pulled
get pulled to sub because we have no subs.
to sub as a teacher?
Yes.
Okay.
So when you have no subs and you're not going to have the TAs to sub, who's going to sub? You're going to pull your math services, you're going to pull your reading services, you're going to pull all those services. And then the kids miss out more. So you have to have a really strong sub plan. The other thing is, are you keeping the guidance counselors in the elementary schools?
We're reducing by one.
One. Okay. Because guidance, like, I would rather see, as a parent in the district, another social worker hired than the guidance counselors in your K through 4 buildings and also having 2 at Pulaski. So, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lennon. Other comments?
I just want to state that we are in the process of developing a very robust substitute plan, and that is a very good point, and thank you for making that.
Any other comments?
Hi, I'm Crystal Weissmiller. I'm a Calverton resident. My son was the assistant director of The Little Mermaid. Yay. So So I'm trying to wrap my head around everything, to be quite honest with you. I see, all the weight of the numbers and the monetary respect of these cuts, and trying to understand, if this is really weighted on how it impacts the children. So cutting elementary assistant programs for the teachers in kindergarten, first grade, these are very highly trained professionals. They've done a wonderful job with our students. However, it's been a struggle, right? And it's going to continue to be a struggle. These are the core fundamental years of these children's building blocks. And if you cannot mold them at the very young age and have the assistance to do so, there's no way, if you talk to any kindergarten, first grade teacher, that you could possibly think that one teacher could manage 20 personalities. We're not talking special education, we're talking kids who are highly distracted, we're talking kids with different personalities. Like, there is so much that goes into this, and if they don't have the support, our children are set up to fail. So I'm trying to understand how you are going to substitute or how you're going to assist these teachers, because they need the assistance. There's no way that what was it? I don't know, was it the budget of what? That it cuts in the elementary assistants. That cannot possibly outweigh the importance of those roles for those students who are still yet in 4th grade learning how to write. They're learning how to read. They were robbed of their past 4 years during COVID. They're still trying to recover. Now you're bringing in children, and they're all in the same households. They're all, you have 2 working parents in a household these days. They don't have the support at home. They need the support in the schools. You take that support away from them, you're setting them up to fail, and you're setting us up to fail as parents. So what are we doing?
Thank you, Ms. Weissmuller.
And I can only tell you, I'm not a highly trained professional, but two children in a household is very hard to manage. I don't know about the rest of you. I'm not a perfect mom, but I'm fully here to admit it. But now you have 20 children, same age, and they've never been maybe in an environment where they've been in an educational atmosphere. Structure is important, right? How do you want one adult to structure 20 kindergartners? How? Tell me. I need lessons, because if you guys have an answer to that, I want to meet after, because I don't know how you could possibly have an explanation for that. I'm sorry. Does anybody? Anybody?
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Weissmuller. Do we have anyone else who'd like to comment?
Hi, John Shearer. I live in Bating Hollow. I'm just wondering, is there a cap on the class sizes in the high school and the middle school?
Sorry. There are certain contractual caps on different classes.
Okay, so what's the projected class size in the middle school and high school for core subject areas?
They're working that out now.
Information for you right now. We can certainly get that to you.
Okay, and I heard that electives are going to be cut due to enrollment of under 15 students. So what does that equate to number-wise in the number of electives being cut?
We're still waiting for students to sign up for classes, so students at the high school and middle school are still signing up for electives. And once we have an opportunity to look at that, then those decisions will be made.
Okay, because
there's a lot of scheduling changes.
And we were told that we were going to get answers in April. So
Okay.
we're leading into that, so we'll have that for maybe the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, and my last question is, what's the reserve number in the budget?
What do you mean by that, John?
The reserve money. You have to have money in reserve in your budget, right, for emergency purposes?
Right, I think in the revenue plan we're spending, I think we increased the reserves to fund this year's budget. We increased it by, off the top of my head, I think another $4 million. So I think the reserves are funding this by close to 8, I believe, at this point right now. It was almost doubled.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hi, Christina Falsetta from Aquabogue. I just have to get up here and echo what the other dual language parents have said already, and just really express my frustration with what's going on with this program. It is an unintended consequence that is so grave that we cannot move forward with it, right? You came out and said your goals of this program were not to cut educational programs and to keep things intact, and this is by far, the dual language program that my kindergartner is in, is by far the best thing that Riverhead has given to any of my children. I appreciate the clubs and the sports and the extras, but this is not an extra. This is something that has to stay. When my oldest, who's now in 2nd grade, started in this district, I called and asked about what the dual language options were, and I was floored to find out that our population that we have Spanish speakers and the size of our district, we did not have a dual language program at the time. I am from Westchester, where every school that's similar to us has a dual language for years, decades. This is, when I called and I spoke to the administrators, I was told that they are aware that we are so behind the 8 ball on this, and they assured me that this is something that's important to the district and we were working on it. They told me over and over again that the sole impediment was that we couldn't find Spanish-speaking teachers. It has taken years to get us to the level of having Spanish-speaking teachers, and we're ready to just throw it away. You said in the beginning that this is decades to come, it's going to affect kids, and when you realize that this is a huge mistake, we cannot just turn around and implement it again. We've spent the funds on the curriculum. These teachers have done extraordinary work this year. It has been an incredible program with 0 complaints from as far as I know. We haven't even evaluated the success, we're just cutting it straight out. That is such an injustice. I really, really, really beg you to reconsider this. No questions, but I just want you to know that this is being felt across the board. There has been calls, emails, texts from the dual language parents all week long. People are beside themselves. I hope that you get that message gets to you and you really understand that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments?
Hi, good evening. I'm going to express about the dual language program myself.
Could you just provide your name?
Yes, my name is Santa and I live in Calverton, and I have a daughter in kindergarten at Phillips in the dual language program, and I want to say it has been an amazing program, up to date. My daughter knows how to count from 0 to 100 in Spanish. She knows how to speak in Spanish. She was translating at the library the other day for a kid that spoke Spanish because there is nobody speaking Spanish in the library. On that topic, I have a kid coming into kindergarten in the following school year. So now I have one kid that's learning the dual language, and now my next one coming into school might not have the dual language program. That's really unfair. It's really a great program, and I think they need to do more to do better. And also, if you're going to only have it at Phillips and have 2 classes, and you're busing kids from other districts, aren't you going to make Phillips more overcrowded? It's already like full in Phillips. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Do we have any other comments? Let's just see if anyone else, would anyone else like to comment before we have repeat comments?
Hi, Georgina from Calverton. My daughter is also in the dual language program, and if there's going to be a lottery for Phillips, that means not all of the children would get in, right? So there was a commitment asked of us parents that we committed to 7 years of this program. So where is the commitment from the district to the parents and to the children, most importantly? And also, I don't understand why funding goes towards iPads if we have teachers that are there to teach. What's the iPads for our children? I don't understand why my kindergartner has an iPad.
Well, I believe that those iPads were specifically grants that, had to only go towards specific instruction. I don't know if Dr. Kerner, if you can comment to that, or Ms. Pedicic, yeah.
As we know, technology is not a standalone. It's included in everything that our children do. We live in a technological world. And also, students were provided with individual devices when COVID happened, because if anything ever happened again that was similar, and the district had to pivot to virtual learning, all of our students would have that opportunity. So it is very important that our students be able to have these one-to-one devices, because as you know, when COVID occurred on March 13th of 2020 and the entire state shut down, every school district was scrambling on what we were going to do. So those devices were provided so that a district could easily pivot to virtual
It just
instruction.
sounded like funding was still going towards
Yeah.
technology, towards iPads, where it's being taken away from a program like
No,
this.
that is not the case.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Any other comments for that? And then, yeah, Ms. Roberts.
Just a follow-up. Hi, Eva Roberts, Riverhead. I heard what was said about not being able to talk about personnel matters. But as was being spoken about, you know, we were talking about humans and then positions and, I don't know, positions without humans. Somehow I think there's a financial piece to this that's not just about, you know, personnel. How can we ignore the, you know, the elephant, you know, in the middle of the room? And so my, you know, I don't know if there's any way for, about unknown situations with unknown personnel. Is there any way to, would the board consider some sort of, maybe looking into some kind of legal action or something like that? But aside from that, perhaps parents could, if there was an issue, and I'm not saying there was because we don't know, but maybe parents could get some kind of civil, you know, where you can go after some people civilly, you know, and get money that way, even if there's no criminality determined. It's just a thought. Maybe there's a way to make up for this financial shortfall, which to me, even though you can't talk about it, I know there's money being paid to people that aren't here working. I wish I had that job. You know, if you let me go from, I want that job. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. We're just going to move.
Sorry, do you mind if I just speak?
Yeah, well, so this will just be the last comment before we go on to, there'll be.
I'll make it brief. My name is Virginia. I'm from Aquabog. I just wanted to say one thing. I do appreciate every one of you up here. I hear everyone's concern out in the audience as far as parents. I'm a parent. I'm a special ed mother, so I get you. There are letter campaigns right now that you can be a part of in order to gain state aid. If you wish to take part in it, I suggest that every one of you here, if you're so angry as much as you are, all you have to do, use your pen and make that your weapon and write Governor Hochul. And that's the way you can get back and get that state aid. So I hear every single one of you. I hear your anger, your frustration to the people that are sitting in front of you, but you can actually make a large difference by actually contacting the governor's office. So if you need information, you can certainly contact me through the SEPTA email. I know you can call the district. They could probably provide you with that. But there is a letter campaign going on across Long Island. So that is my suggestion to all of you this evening. It's a fight that we all have to take. So be angry, but be angry behind, not just behind scenes, but beyond Riverhead, because it goes across Long Island.
Thank you, Ms. Scudder. We're going to move on to, we have public comment on agenda items. So it's the same rules, but if anyone has any comments specifically on other parts of our agenda, so consent agenda and new business. Do we have any comments specifically about that? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Motion. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Can I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. All right, moving on to new business. So an approval of memorandum of agreement with the Riverhead Teaching Assistants Association. Can I have a motion to accept? Thank you, Ms. Healy. Can I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Letter B, approval of stipulation of agreements, which is with a confidential agreement. Can I have a motion to accept? Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. Letter C, approval of special education services contract. Can I have a motion? Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Can I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. Letter D, approval of memorandum of understanding with Riverhead Fire District. This is specifically an agreement between the district and the fire district to allow the district to use fire buildings in case of an emergency or evacuation. Can I have a motion to accept? Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Approval of first reading of new board policies. So we have policies for use of timeout rooms, physical restraints, and adversives, yeah, that makes sense. And then we have two other regulations based on that. We have accountability, evaluation of superintendent, limited English proficiency instruction, and weighting of regents exams. Can I have a motion to approve the reading? Thank you, Ms. Healy. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in... Oh, yes, Mrs. Scudder.
No. Okay, well, first of all, I just want to comment, and I'm grateful for the change in 4321, because that law changed in August 2nd of last year, which banned restraints in the prone position and also seclusion for our special ed students. And these changes came after investigations into schools, across the state, how our special ed students were being restrained and secluded for long periods of time when there was no clear threat to safety. So I'm happy for the changes in that. And I just have questions for I know you've sat for committees for the weighting of regents exams. The committee, who is it apprised of? Could you just fill us in on, whoever sat with the committee and, how we came to the...
Yes, I believe Dr. Galati was the chair, if you want to speak to that.
Yes, hi, good evening. We had a series of meetings starting last year into the onset of this year. And representation on the committee consisted of 2 students, 2 parents, building administration, and teachers, in addition to myself. So through the series of meetings, we reflected upon everyone's voice that was representative at the committee meetings. We did our research, took a look at what other schools came up with. Some made some changes, others held to the 20% of an allocation for regents weighting. So at the end, we made we came upon a consensus, and that consensus was then shared with the policy committee last week. As a result of discussion with the policy committee, we determined it best to change our weighting from the standard 20% to that of 12%, with then each quarter changing to then 22%, okay? So the weighting has now changed for the quarter allocation as well as for the weighting on regents examinations. When this goes into effect, that's the determination of the Board of Education. So that is the recommendation that has been instilled by the committee representing the policy committee as of last week.
Can I ask you, are any special ed students or children of English language learners, or what was the student body comprised of that weighed in?
The 2 students that were representative on the committee were high school students.
just high school students, so you don't, there
Correct.
wasn't. But you don't know if they, anybody that was there to represent somebody who was, say, with an IEP or English language. That was just 2 students.
2 general ed students.
And any parents that were, represented from, say, special ed PTO?
Not from the, there were parents that were representative of PTO.
And what kind of data was introduced?
From the parents?
Just in general, you just used in-house data?
There was in-house data as well as data collected from a vast array of districts spanning Suffolk County schools.
Was there any type of in-depth discussion about the Blue Ribbon Commission and graduation measures, as well as the CC Network paper that was used to create that
Yes,
report? And how we're going to prepare for the changes that are coming down from New York State?
Yes, and just to be mindful that the Blue Ribbon Commission is clearly a recommendation. So there is still a great amount of information that needs to be fleshed out regarding those changes. So as it stands right now, all core subject areas that conclude a course with a Regents exam, students are expected to take the Regents examination. So there are no changes instilled at this time.
Okay, so, I know that what we have are standard-based regions. I'm just wondering how it kind of reconciles with where the state's position is on using regions in the final course grades, since they are, standard-based. So has always been, I know that I'm happy that you've reduced it from 20% because it is just a 3-hour exam at the end of the year that was being weighted so heavily. So I would like maybe to look at the algebra regions, that it shouldn't be weighted as high as 12%. I would like to see that weighted at 10%. Because when we moved to a standard base, when it was more measured on content, before they changed the regions to more standards, and we were, that reform, we were not measuring content as much as we were measuring, like ability, if you will. We just saw a real difference, in those regions. So they become more like reading exams. But I know with the algebra, if you just look at the difference in content, and so this is a 3-year exam, and it really holds up a lot of children from graduation. This was a 1979 exam for 2 pages, 1, 2, 3 pages. This is a 1997 course 1. I think it's 1, 2. You could just see, how, the expectation for the reading level. And then got 20 pages when it comes to Algebra 1. This was the June 2023, and the expectation. And I just would like to see that we did not have such a high weighting even for that. I know other districts, they take a look at the regions, the different regions, and have weighted them differently.
Thank you, Ms. Healy. Are there any other questions or comments?
I'd like to ask where you came to the 12%, especially with the regents, because, I'm looking at it, long-term picture, incentive for, what is the incentive for our students to prepare for these regents and work towards, achieving? I remember when I took the regents, that was what we worked towards the end of the year. So it's like going to a job and you have a presentation. Like, I want to make sure that we're not de-incentivizing our children to perform on these tests at a level in which we know they can.
So a recommendation was provided by the committee, and it was basically split between 10% and keeping to the 20%. So the policy committee thought that 12% was something of reason, being a reasonable percentage for the weighting of Regents examinations. Discussion was also had that a percentage needs to be allocated, for the weighting of Regents examinations in order for students to take this assessment seriously. because it is a culmination assessment.
I agree, because, when they go to college, that's, if you look at any syllabus, that's a large chunk of their grade. So we are not preparing them for the next level if we are de-incentivizing these tests that inevitably, whether you're going past college to get certified as a CPA or an attorney, you have some level of testing that you're going to have to achieve. To include the trades, if you're going for a union, you have to get certified. I know some people that have taken it a couple times, but they get it there. So that's really what my concern is that we're preparing them for the next level.
Agreed.
You go to another state, they don't have these exit exams. There's a difference between exit exams and entrance exams to going on to college and so forth. And a lot of tests that are given throughout this school year are designed for the same thing too. You learn how to take multiple choice tests, essays, and so forth. I just found that, the research, listening to what other school districts have been examining different areas of on Long Island, they brought in, they had a roundtable of colleges and asked them, how they look at, say, regions. You have, like, if you read through, especially the CC network paper that the Blue Ribbon use in part of their study, is, they were looking across states and across countries, where we're going with these exit exams. And I'm not saying that there's value in it, because you still need to take, you have some type of a standard. We understand that. It's just how much we're going to, say, include it in the final course average. And, I listened in on one school that had a whole presentation. They brought in all these the colleges that zoomed in, and they asked them about, the regions. And for them, they were looking generally, they were looking at the whole year. And that's so different, say, from like just standard based, because they would also look at, say, SAT scores. The regions didn't hold them as much value unless they saw an aberration, or if, when it came to a separate specialized school, that would act as maybe a bit of a placement. So, that's, there's...
Right. I just want to point out, this is our first reading of the policy, so we will have other opportunity to discuss this. And one other issue that was discussed by the policy committee was to only post the highest Regents grade that the student receives in a particular course, and also to give that student, if they retake that Regents, an opportunity to recalculate their final grade based on the highest Regents score that they achieve. So it's giving students multiple opportunities to be successful, which I think is really important. So I think we can certainly continue conversation on this in the future.
And is there currently, still a hold harmless policy, with select students?
That is correct, and it holds for the special ed students and our ENL students.
Thank you.
No, it's not it's more if they fail that Regents, then it's not going to count, right? For the students with disabilities and the ELL, right? If it causes them to have a failing grade, the Regents exam will not be counted. So it's for those two.
Before we go on to voting for it, I'm going to make a motion to remove 4711, weighting of Regents exams, from letter E, and table it. We'll send it back to the policy committee with increased, information, especially the information provided by Ms. Murphy and Ms. Healy, and then hopefully by the next meeting or the meeting afterwards, be able to bring that policy back. So hopefully by the time that policy comes back to the boards, it'll have enough time for three readings to then be able to be enacted before our June Regents exams. Can I have a motion to remove 4711? Motion. Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. All in favor? And motion passes. So we're going to table 4711 until our next meeting and bring that back to the policy committee. So letter E, approval of first reading of new board policy. This will be 4321.12 down to 4626. Can I have a motion to approve the first reading of those policies? As amended. Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Can I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none? Oh, seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. Letter F, approval of third and final reading of new and revised board policies. This is 2325, video conferencing of board meetings, 4327, homebound instruction, 6700-R.1, purchasing regulation, 8520, free and reduced price meal services, 8636, artificial intelligence, and 9260, conditional appointment and emergency conditional appointment for student safety. Can I have a motion to accept letter F, please? Purchasing regulation? Oh, yes. We'll be tabling that. Can I have a motion to table 6700 R.1 purchasing regulation for Riverhead Central School District? Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Can I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. That'll be tabled. So can I have a motion to accept letter F as amended? Motion. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Healy. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. We'll go to letter G, call for special district meeting, May 21st, 2024. This is the special meeting that will be our annual budget vote and election of board members, of which 2 seats will be open. All the voting will be at the 4 elementary schools, of which a student in your household would attend. Can I have a motion to accept? Motion. Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. Letter H, approval of legal notice for the May 21st, 2024 annual budget vote and school board election. Can I have a motion to accept? Motion. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Can I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. Letter I, approval of education stabilization fund audit and corrective action plan. Can I have a motion to accept? Motion. Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. Letter J, approval of cooperative bids. Can I have a motion to accept? Oh, thank you, Ms. Healy. Can I have a second?
No, that was,
Sorry.
but I'll second it.
But you'll second it. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, or concerns? No. Seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. Letter K, approval of contracts. Can I have a motion to accept? Motion. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Can I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Redmond. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. Opportunity for board members. Do we have any board committee reports?
Yes, we had a policy committee meeting. The policy committee met on March 12th, and the following members of the policy committee were present for the meeting: Mr. Palmer, the Board of Ed President, Ms. Redmond, myself, Mr. Scudder, Mrs. Pedicich, the interim superintendent of schools, Dr. Galati, assistant superintendent for secondary education, grants, and student outcomes, Ms. DeRosa, the director of special education, and Ms. Bazohowski, the district clerk. For policy 4321.12, timeout and physical restraint for all students, the policy and regulation update was required, policy, regulation, and exhibit. 4321.12-R, timeout and physical restraint, all students, regulation. 4321.12-E, timeout and physical restraint, all students, exhibit. We've replaced our sample policy, regulation, and exhibit to address the requirements of updated state regulations. Note that while we have kept the policy number the same, this policy applies to all students, not only those with disabilities. The policy committee is making a recommendation to utilize the changes to this policy as recommended by Ms. DeRosa, specific to aligning policy with state regulations for timeout rooms, use of physical restraint, time limitations, requirements for use, staff training, data collection, parent notification, and more. Policy 0000, philosophy, goals, and objectives. Policy 0150, HIV/AIDS policy. The policy committee is making a recommendation to place this policy on hold to share with Mr. Hull, district lead nurse, for upgrades and suggestions. 0300, accountability. It has been determined by the policy committee to modify the second paragraph to read, "The board recognizes that a comprehensive accountability system is necessary to improve the effectiveness of the district schools by keeping the primary focus on student achievement, safety, and overall wellness, and on what can be and should be done to improve student achievement." 0310, board self-evaluation. It has been determined by the Policy Commission that this policy is in keeping with the mission and vision of the Riverhead Central School District and does not warrant any modifications, upgrades, or changes at this time. 0320, evaluation of superintendent. The Policy Committee is making a recommendation to edit the third paragraph to remove the date specified in paragraph 3 and end the sentence at individual. 1000, community relations, policy 1050, the annual district election and budget vote. It has been determined by the policy committee that this policy is in keeping with the mission and vision of the Riverhead Central School District and does not warrant any modifications, upgrades, or changes at this time. 1120, school district records. It has been determined by the policy committee that this policy is in keeping with the mission and vision of the Riverhead Central School District and does not warrant any modifications, upgrades, or changes at this time. 1120, school district records regulation. It has been determined by the policy committee that this policy is in keeping with the mission and vision of the Riverhead Central School District and does not warrant any modifications, upgrades, or changes at this time. Can't see. 1130, news media regulations. It has been determined by the policy committee that this policy is in keeping with the mission and vision of the Riverhead Central School District and does not warrant any modifications, upgrades, or changes at this time. 4000, instruction. 4326, limited English proficiency instruction, recommended updates by Mrs. Sands. The policy committee has reviewed the NISBA recommendations to this policy. The committee is in agreement to the modifications addressed and the recommendations of Dr. Sands, with only minor language changes for consistency. Should I read the weighting, even though we tabled it?
Yeah.
I could just read the report, okay. 4711, weighting of Regents exams. The policy committee is in agreement and recommendations to weight all Regents examinations 12% as opposed to the current weight of 20%. As a result, each quarter will be weighted 22%. In addition, students who select to retake a Regents examination in a specific course, the course grade will be recalculated to reflect the highest grade achieved. Furthermore, if a student selects to retake a Regents examination, only the highest grade earned on that Regents examination will be recorded on the student's transcript.
I do like that addition, thank you.
5000, student policies. 5130, compulsory attendance age. It has been determined by the policy committee that this policy is in keeping with the mission and vision of the Riverhead Central School District and does not warrant any modifications, upgrades, or changes at this time. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Scudder. Any other any other committee reports? Seeing none, do we have any general board comments? Seeing none, we're going to move on. Oh yeah, start.
I just want to say that the show that the children from Riley Avenue was absolutely fantastic, and I'm so happy they were able to perform it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to add that spring sports began this week, and I'd like to wish all of our student athletes the best of luck in all their competitions, and go Blue Waves.
Ms. Redmond, any other comments?
No, I just, Blue Mask is going to be putting on Newsies in April, so put that on your, yes, must see. I do too, I like middle. Yeah, right, because they're practicing. And thank you, middle school, again, for hosting us.
We have opportunity for RCFA.
I have a statement to read.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. That's okay. Do you want to go? Okay. So, good evening, Gregory Wallace. I'm the RCFA president and a Calverton resident. Friday, March 8th was probably the most difficult day of my career as a labor leader. We met with 23 teachers to tell them that they were either going to lose their job or they were going to be reduced below half-time. And when we look at these presentations and you see numbers and positions, you know, I'm glad that Dr. Cardizano said humans, because, you know, these teachers, you have to want to be here. You know, this is one of the most rewarding and challenging jobs there is in education, working in this district. And, you know, to see these teachers who are just in love with their students and in love with this district be told that we need you, but we just can't have you. That was truly heartbreaking. And, you know, the superintendent and the director of personnel and I met with all these teachers individually, you know, and sometimes when districts access, they send out letters, and, you know, so it was a brutal day for my unit, and I'm sure the other units that went through this, it was difficult for them also. We know that these reductions are being made as a result of finances and not need. Our district continues to feel the impact of $188 million in foundation aid shortfall, not to mention the tax abatements from the IDA and the charter school tuition, which this year alone is draining $14.6 million from our coffers. For far too long in Riverhead, we've been asked to do more with less, and next year will be no different. Our students deserve better, and we as a community need to advocate to the governor to fully fund our foundation aid, as well as seek an alternate funding formula for charter schools so our students won't continue to go without. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. We have opportunity for RAA. We have Mr. Kassar.
That's the message I was
Okay,
given. In regard to the opportunity for comments at tonight's Board of Ed meeting, please note RAA has no comment at this time. Thank you, RAA leadership.
All right, thank you, Don. Now we have opportunity for CSEA. Ms. Johnson.
Hello, my name is Sonia Johnson, CSEA President of the non-instructional employees of the district. In the short period of being Vice President to President, there has been 2 interim superintendents and 1 superintendent. Needless to say, we have been through many changes. I do not take homage in having to stand here and speak for my membership. The fact remains, our contract ends June 30th, 2024. We cannot allow the chaos that has ensued from the past to now present continue to penetrate our negotiations. Bottom line, I will end this by saying Thursday will be our 4th negotiation session. And with that in mind, please remember that the clerical staff, custodial department, maintenance department, mechanics, transportation, security department, technical support aides, monitors, neighborhood aides, and I'm going to include the special education aides, and last but certainly not least, our cafeteria staff. We make school happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. We now have opportunity for public comment. Oh, sorry.
CSEA.
Oh, you have more comment. Oh, excellent, fantastic. My apologies.
Hi, Interim Superintendent Ms. Cheryl Pedicist, members of the Board of Education, good evening. I'm Victoria Smith, a representative of the special education aid in our district. I stand here in front of you in behalf of all our hardworking CSCA membership. As everybody knows, that we and the rest of the CSCA in our district are the backbone of the Riverhead Central School District. Together with Ms. Sonia Johnson's 300+ workforce are part of our backbone. Tonight, I am here to directly ask you the board to please not to allow the use of agency workers to serve our school children, because these workers are not, I repeat, not willing to do the work we, your school district teachers' aides, do. I thank you for the opportunity to speak for you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria.
Good evening. My name's Alyssa Bear. I'm speaking tonight as a Riverhead Schools Teacher Aide Unit Leader, as a Riverhead School District employee of 19 years, as a community member for almost 30 years, and most importantly, as an extremely proud parent of 2 wonderful daughters who graduate from Riverhead Schools. Thank you for taking the time to hear our voices tonight. I stand before you to make one crucial statement to echo what Ms. Smith has presented. The agency aides are not and will not meet all of the needs of our students, our children. And that's all I have to say. And thank you for tonight.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bear. All right, we're going to move on to opportunity for public comment. Yep, and just a reminder, same rules as before, 3 minutes. And if you need to speak again, depending on time, hopefully depending on people afterwards.
Hi, I'm Deanna North. I'm currently a current senior at Riverhead High School, and I'm also a captain on the varsity softball team, and I have been since sophomore year. This season, I have not only pitched to do a mental health softball game, but I've pitched it to all the spring sports. So I'll be doing tennis, tennis, girls lacrosse, boys lacrosse, unified basketball, boys baseball, track, and also softball. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart because I struggled with my mental health as an athlete, and as you can see by my shirt, like, we all have a story, and we all struggle at some point in our lives, and as athletes, it's super important to be able to get the help that you need, and a lot of athletes struggle alone, and they don't reach out, which is what I found myself to do, and it really was hard, and I feel like we should reach out to more athletes and tell them that they're not alone and they don't have to struggle alone. And I will also be going to one spring sport game for each sport and giving a speech based on my struggles, and I'm collaborating with the corporation Hope for Athletes, and I'll be selling their merchandise there along with bracelets, and every athlete will be wearing green shoelaces in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, which the color is green. I really just want to encompass that athletes have mental health struggles, and it's okay to not be okay, and every athlete should have someone to support them and back them in their mental health struggles. And I want a lot of athletes to see that we are humans before we're athletes. And I want to bring awareness and break the stigma around having mental health struggles in sports. And this is super important because with the struggles I experienced being a student athlete, and I hope that each and every one of you can join me at least one of these games to show your support for our athletes and everyone else in the Riverhead community, and to bring back the camaraderie that we had in sports so long ago, and just to bring light to everything that's going on in Riverhead, because as much as we see the negative that's going on in Riverhead, we should also be able to see the positive, especially in sports. And the dates of the games will be boys varsity tennis, April 9th at 4:30 p.m., girls varsity lacrosse, April 11th at 4 p.m., varsity boys lacrosse at April 30th at 5:15 p.m., unified basketball May 1st at 5 p.m., varsity boys baseball May 8th at 4:15 p.m., and girls varsity softball, which is my sport, May 9th at 4:30, and track is also right now to be determined. We will be also having posters put up all around our field, and we'll be having green ribbons drawn on the dirt, and I'm hoping to see all of you there.
Thank you so much, Mr.
That is amazing.
Would you be able to? Oh, sorry. No, you go.
I just want to thank you for doing that. You have our complete and total support, and thanks. You are an incredible leader and an advocate for your fellow classmates, and we could not be more proud of you. We will be there.
Thank you.
Okay.
There's also an article on Riverhead Local and Riverhead News Review that came out today about my story that I shared publicly on Instagram about my mental health struggles, if you guys wanted to read that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just that particular work, kind of destigmatizing mental health. I'm open saying that I've struggled with mental health issues in the past, and showing specifically as an athlete, destigmatizing that athletes have to be strong and you have to be perfect, and other people are weak. Showing that you're humans altogether is so important. So you're doing really fantastic work. Thank you very much for that. Do we have any other public comments?
I just want to make one more comment about the dual language program, and also one final question. When you were talking about standardized tests and regents, it is a proven track record across the nation that dual language programs increase standardized test scores. It increases their cognitive learning. And even what you just said about the athletes, it increases them to be better human beings. Like, it's just an absolute amazing program. And I want to know, is it done? Like, that's it? We're out, Aquabog, Roanoke, and Riley? Is it a final decision that nobody else got to vote on? The board made the decision and it's gone? Everyone is asking. I mean, my phone has been lighting up all night because no one's really answered that. Is this it? It's over?
So nothing is finalized until the board votes the end of next month to specifically approve what our budget is, which we will then send out to the community. One of the big problems is the fact that you'll notice that with the tax cap, our spending increase, that 3.49% is just underneath the tax cap. If we raise it any more, instead of us just needing a simple majority to pass the budget, I believe it's 60%. Basically, the higher that the higher percentage you have, the harder it is to pass a budget. Putting that extra step, it's already going to be hard for us to pass the budget, and we hope that the community will support us. If we do pierce the tax cap, it's going to be just that much harder to pass the budget. And the thing is, no one on this dais wants to remove dual language. I mean, the reductions just in general language that we have to have in this budget is making me sick. Just the anxiety I felt coming into here tonight, is felt because of that. If our budget fails, though, not only is dual language, not only is that, a moot point, but so much more is going to be taken away from our students. And we just understand that, these are these really tough decisions that we have to make, and it's not made lightly in any sort of way. I think that the dual language program is absolutely fantastic, but we have to weigh, problems that'll happen with, a select part of our student population.
But it affects the entire district.
It will affect the entire district, especially if
It's not just the 18 kids in my daughter's class. It's the future of the district. It's gangs that are happening in our high school. I mean, for
I agree.
weeks and weeks and weeks of the reports of bullets and knives, and I mean, the first couple months of this school year was absolutely nerve-wracking. I mean, I was ready to just sell my home and get out. But this program is the only thing that gives us hope in this district with the demographics of this district. This is how you can unite your children. This is uniting the children. They will be able to communicate with the majority of the district that speaks Spanish. This helps our minority of the district that doesn't speak Spanish to communicate with the children that do. This is changing your future of this entire district. And I just feel like it was tossed to the side because it was just poor planning. And it's terrible. And one last question, and I apologize. You mentioned there was $8 million in reserve. What do we do with the reserve money? What is that for? Okay. And when is the next meeting, and so that the parents can help try and promote to persuade a vote towards this program?
The next meeting will be on April 2nd, 2 weeks from this evening, and it will be at the middle school.
And that's the day that the decision will be final?
No, no. The board
I'm
does
sorry.
not, yeah, I'm sorry. The board does not adopt the budget until I believe it's April 16th.
April 16th.
Yes, April 16th is the adoption of the budget.
Yeah, so we have 4 weeks from today.
Right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from the public?
Hi, John Shera, Bating Hollow. I just had a question. I just heard someone reference agencies in lieu of district employees. Are you hiring agencies in place of district employees? I hope to God not. That is unacceptable.
Mr. Chair, yes, we are, and the reason is because we can't fill those positions with district staff. We have tried through recruitment and have been unable to do so. If we didn't bring in agency staff, we would not be in compliance with Part 200 of the Commissioner's regulations, which regulates special education programs. So yeah, we've been desperate, looking for staff. I would agree with both Ms. Smith and Ms. Bear that our aides are invaluable to us. We do not want agency aides. They do not do the same level of commitment. Their dedication is not the same, and we would definitely like to not be using them, but we just can't get enough aide staff on our own. We would prefer our own employees, 100%.
Okay, so are those positions still available?
Yes, they are definitely available, and if you know of anybody, or if anybody in the audience does, please let us know. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other comments from the public? Do we have any online comments? One?
We have one comment from Diana Tanis. It reads, "All of our children deserve an equal opportunity. We implore you to ensure that every child has an equal opportunity to thrive academically, linguistically, and culturally by continuing to offer the dual language program as it was promised to all of the Riverhead Central School District elementary schools for our current kindergartners and future students of our district."
Thank you, Don. Any other comments?
We just want to make one more
Yeah,
comment.
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah, with agency workers who gets hired by the district, we are spending so much money for them monthly. For a year, we're spending $2 million for this agency worker. And we cannot even get our contract to be approved. So if these agency aids people, they don't want to do what we do. If they go into the classroom, we are the one who's fulfilling their job. And we're feeling like we're being left out. And these people, they're making more money than us. I'm not trying to play, the sorry kids, but we are the one who's taking care of the school district children. But for them, for our district to spend, what, $540,000 for 2 months? That's a lot of money. You have to say something?
And just to follow up with Vicki, and we see it firsthand. We're there with the students every day. We're caring for every single need, and I will do anything for a child. Whether it's my job or not, I will do it. But when you have outside people coming in and saying, that's not my job, I don't do that, but I'm an aide, and I'm getting paid to do this job, we're finding really, really, it's hard for us to accept that. It's hard to not to accept it just for us. It's hard to accept us for the children. And we will step up every minute of the day that these agency aides are not, but you're wasting money. You're wasting money on the community's money, you're wasting taxpayers' money, and most importantly, you're wasting our children's time, our precious children's time. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, there is anyone, who knows, people who are interested in applying for these aides positions, just go on to riverhead.net. You can find information. Mr. Brown.
Bob Brown on Riverside. I have great grands in the Riverhead school system, and they range from kindergarten to sophomores. And just listening to their conversations about the students that they're hanging out with the loss of this dual language program, we are probably sending at least 3 kids to the charter school.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Do we have any other comments?
I'll come back.
Yeah, more comment.
No, what give us the pain in us working for the district, we're giving all our time and effort for helping our special education children. But for this agency aid to come, and we'll find out they're getting paid $30 an hour, and we, your school district aid, special education aid, $17.03. Now, where is this discrepancy on that? So there's a problem on $30, and our salary is $17.03. How can you put food on the table on that amount? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stetson. Seeing no other public comment, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Motion. Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Can I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Oh, sorry, Brian. Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And motion carries. We'll be back on April 2nd, also in the middle school